Thank you to Highway Home. I loved that rendition of the national anthem, and I heard they've got a new record deal. So we're going to hear from rising stars after these words. I bring a message from President Trump. He said, bring 3 messages to the people in the Permian Basin. We don't need messages for the rocks or the pipelines or the equipment, but bring 3 messages to the people in this great part of the region. And they are, I scribbled them down, thank you, and thank you. Thank you, because you make our world go round. You make our country energy secure. You bring opportunities for prosperity for all Americans and all American families. And for our friends and allies around the world, when I travel around the world, the most common question I get asked is, will you be there? As our economies grow, we build new natural gas import terminals. Will you be there to supply the gas? We don't want to buy energy, oil from foes in unstable countries. Will you be there to supply oil for us? Whether I'm in Asia or I'm in Europe and I'm talking to the leaders of Africa, is the United States there? Will you stand with us? And the answer, because of you, because of the people in this room, I can always confidently say, yes, we will be there. Yes, we will never give up on what made the modern world possible. We will never stop producing the essential ingredients for planes, trains, and automobiles, for internet, for communication, for everything we take for granted. All of those things depend on oil and natural gas. It's crazy that something so essential to life is so misunderstood, so demonized, and amazingly, one of the 2 major political parties in our country has made it a major part of their business to stand in the way and to try to stop oil and gas production. I still am just amazed when I say these words and when I've seen what I've seen. But one of the reasons President Trump ran for re-election again was he feared where energy was going in the United States. President Biden had run saying, I guarantee it, I will end fossil fuels. I mean, think about that. Think about that. Human life expectancy at birth globally was 30 years, 20,000 years ago. It was 30 years, 200 years ago. The most transformative force ever to visit human civilization. Well, besides family and faith and morality and those things that power our inners. But the most transformative thing to the physical condition of humans ever is oil and natural gas. Today, life expectancy is over 70 years. All of that rise happened with the rise of the oil and gas industry. 1 billion people live these awesome lives that we have. 7 billion people want to live the awesome lives we have here. And every day when you go to work, every day when you wake up before dawn and you go out and work in 110-degree heat or freezing rain or cold in the winter, you're enabling not just Americans, but the planet to live better, more wonderful, more wealthy lives. You're allowing kids that get chronic diseases or bad luck to get those things cured and fixed because there is no modern medicine without oil and natural gas. You're going to enable a reindustrialization of our country. So many of the factories and businesses we shipped overseas in the last 25 years in just a loss of perspective in what matters in America are coming back to America. I will be at the opening of a first iron ore mine in 50 years in Minnesota, and downriver is a massive steel plant that's going to be built, the most modern and largest steel plant in the world. The only reason we can do either one of those things is because of what you do. You can't do big modern things without massive amounts of energy. And I love all forms. I went to college to work on nuclear energy. I went to graduate school. I worked in solar energy. I love energy as long as it's affordable, reliable, and secure, which doesn't include everything. I'm not in all of the above. I'm for everything that works, everything that betters American lives. But we get down to the math and you look at the numbers, 74% of American energy consumption, doesn't matter where it's produced, of our consumption is oil and gas. Two things are 74% of American energy. In California, it's 75%, so they're up a point on us. They say they hate oil and gas, but 75% of the energy in the state of California that makes their lives possible is oil and gas. President Trump ran for re-election because he thought that's the industry that's the backbone of our country, of our economic security, of our national security, and of the revival, the reindustrialization of our country. We can't do it unless we have a thriving, booming oil and gas industry. And I've watched it for 4 years under assault. I'm going to run for president again. I'm going to bring back the American dream of higher wages, lower costs, and a reindustrialization agenda. But we can't have that agenda without the oil and gas industry. He wanted to unleash American energy. And where is the center of that comeback, the center of the American oil and gas industry? It's right here in this basin. The resources are underground in this basin, but they've been underground for millions of years. They're only coming up and enabling our lives possible because of the people in this room, your families at home, your friends and neighbors that are working across this region to enable simply fantastic lives. Congressman Pfluger, I've got to call out, who's tremendously represented you in Washington. Washington is a very different place. I don't recommend that any of you move there. In fact, I didn't move there. I'm temporarily located there. But we had a big battle last summer, and President Trump gave it a great name, the One Big Beautiful Bill. So many things had been thrown in the way in law to prevent our industry, stopping to hold the legally mandated federal land sales, banning the increased exports of natural gas out of our country. Just so many things had stuck in the way, narrow majorities in the House and in the Senate to try to fix these things all in one big, beautiful bill. And to get a large majority of people to agree on things, that's hard to do. Congressman Pfluger was a leader in that battle. He had 3 or 4 people could stop the things we were trying to do. 3 or 4 people that are from far-flung places in this country that don't know anything about oil and gas production. How would they know? Well, they knew because Congressman Pfluger, President Trump, and a few others of us just would lay the case out there about why we need to do A, B, and C, and why D may sound good, but it's actually a bad idea. Politics is a rough game, and it's a communication game against people, communicating with people from different regions, with different priorities, with different knowledge bases. We all know what we know, and there's a lot more that we don't know. So politics requires trust and belief in friends and colleagues to lead you to the right place. But just simply enormous benefits were derived from passing this piece of legislation last summer, prevented tax increases, enabled the revitalization of the oil and gas industry. And of course, not just in the Permian Basin, but around our country. Alaska is going to boom again. The offshore Gulf of Mexico is coming back. But the anchor of the oil and gas industry, the anchor of the people and the culture and the production is right here in the Permian Basin. And let me give those numbers with a different time frame. When President Trump was first elected 10 years ago, he came into office. The Permian Basin at that time produced a little less than 2 million barrels a day. Today, as we heard, it's over 6.5. A quadrupling of production in this region just in the last 10 years. Quadrupling. And natural gas production, 7-fold increase. 7 times more natural gas is produced in the Permian Basin today than when President Trump first got elected. These are enormously important changes. And if I go back 20 years ago, the United States we were distinguished. We were the largest importer of oil in the world. We were the largest importer of natural gas in the world. 20 years ago, not that long ago. Today, we are by far the world's largest producer of both. And in fact, we're by far the largest net exporter of natural gas. Natural gas is the third largest export from the United States. Oil and refined oil products is the second largest export of the United States. And natural gas is our fastest growing export. So this is balance of trade. This is energy security. These are awesomely important transitions. So that's your efforts, your work, and leadership in Washington President Trump may not be an expert in oil and gas, but he knows it's important. He knows you need to trust American businesses and entrepreneurs. You need to allow them to thrive and take risks. Because if your agenda is to raise wages and lower costs, you have to have more energy. There's no way to get that done without having more energy. So let me end by saying thank you. That you are going to have people who demonize you, who come after you, who make it difficult to do your business. You've seen it through all your lives. If you said, hey, that's an unpopular industry, I'm tired of my kids hearing bad stuff about me at school, never mind. We wouldn't be in the world we're in today. We wouldn't have this incredible strength in our country, this incredibly bright future for our kids going forward. We need to always stand up, and you've been doing it proudly, and defend what we're doing. Remember 10 or 15 years ago, there were massive efforts in the anti-fracking. They made movies about how bad you were. They said you're tarnishing the land, you're threatening the water supplies, you're ruining the local economies. That may sound familiar. That's the same argument against artificial intelligence. It's the same people, it's the same money, it's the same arguments that are trying to scare people against progress. And I think if we look around, did the shale revolution, the revolution in fracking that we were told was going to ruin our planet, destroy our communities, and suck up all of our water, is that what happened? That isn't what happened at all. We saw an America that boomed. Oil prices are half today what they were 20 years ago. That's only because of booming American production. Natural gas and electricity growth in the United States, reshoring of industry, that's only happened because of fracking and the shale revolution that was demonized. So when we hear things demonized and people trying to scare your neighbors and your friends against new technologies and new progress, let's be skeptical about that. Let's listen about that. And let's drive progress in our country. Not over people's dead bodies. We don't need a data center in every community. That's not necessary at all. People don't want them, no problem. Don't do it. Don't do it. This is a choice. But let's look at that choice rationally. This is going to bring way more benefits than it's going to bring costs. Let's lean in on it. Let's not listen to the fearmongers. Let's remember that America became the most powerful and greatest nation on earth because proud, hardworking Americans knew right from wrong and didn't wither in the face of criticism. They marched forward for themselves, for their children, and for their grandchildren. That's the future of our country as well. God bless you all for your effort. God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. I love